Well, welcome everyone. Uh, Delighted to have you here, and we're excited about all
Welcome.
of the folks who are joining us. So thank you.
Great to have everybody log in, take a break maybe from the debate, take a breath on that, come over here maybe.
Uh, by all means. And we have the chat opened up. So if you want to tell where you're calling in from, zooming in from, that would be great. Or maybe you tell your class, year, your major, um, anything like that, so we can, or if you are a parent, what year your student is, or if they're graduated, or how you might have been connected. Tell us your location. We'll see who's
Mhm,
the closest and the farthest away. I might also just say that we're going to do a few different things. So we're going to have the chat open here uh, for everyone at this point. And so you guys can talk about tell us a little bit about yourself. And then as we get going, we will then um, uh, close the chat and open up the Q&A function so you can add questions that we'll answer later in the time. So thank you so much for that. And we'll look forward to this time. Really grateful for the chance and opportunity to introduce President Porterfield to you all.
mhm. I love it. We have some Pennsylvania, we have Southern California. That's wonderful. And let's see what else we have going. We aren't giving away a gift for the farthest, but it is fun to see. Last call at 4 o'clock, we had someone on from Japan and someone from Saudi Arabia, which was really fun, as well as many from the West Coast. So thank
Well,
you
we
so much for joining us.
currently have Switzerland.
Ah, Switzerland. Okay, that's great.
So we're also wanting to let you know that the question and answer feature is at the bottom of the screen. So if you put your mouse over the screen, you'll see both the chat come up and the Q&A. And the chat's open right now, and the Q&A will be open a little bit later, so you can put your questions in. We'll close the chat so we'll when President Porterfield starts speaking.
Mhm.
Um, so we have folks all over. We have uh, fun group of people. There's a group of people that are on that were part of just had their 50-year reunion here at campus during ivy cutting and and actually during graduation as well. They had part of their gathering. Very fun time. So,
Yes. And I see we have a board member on, a former board member on as well. That's exciting and nice combination of alumni and uh, parent, former parent, and we just love that. So keep telling us where you're from and how you're connected to SPU.
and I'll just say we had a really incredible graduation ceremony at T-Mobile Park, and Dr. Esau McCauley was our graduation speaker, a friend of our president's, and a really profound speaker, and was really moving for us. And you'll have to check out some of his books and writing.
Hmm. Yeah. Yep, it is. It was a wonderful ivy cutting and a graduate and undergraduate commencement, and it was just very exciting to have everybody there. My first, so we always celebrate the firsts throughout. So it was good. It was good.
Well, we'd like to introduce you to the people who are going to be on the call as well. And so there's Doug Taylor, class of 87. And on the other end is Jen Perga, class of uh, 98 and a new friend of mine. I'll say a little bit more. And then we have some of the leadership of the university on the call tonight and answering questions that will come up in part of the Q&A feature. We're not able to answer probably all the questions because you guys, if you're anything like the last call, we had about 170 people on that call. I so we'll have maybe a few less calls, but we were doing all we could to answer all those questions. So we'll do as well as we can in answering the questions. But also at this point would like to just introduce Jen Perga. And I just met her because she has offered to help us think through how we do social media in a different sort of way. And she does a lot of that work. And I was just struck by the neat connection she had with our president. And how fun, but to have someone who's uh, an alum who hasn't been as connected in the last years that's now reconnected. So, Jen, share a little bit with us, will you please?
Absolutely. What a privilege to be on this conversation tonight to introduce one of the very most impactful mentor that I've had to date over the last couple decades. Can't believe it's been that long since I was at SPU, in Ashton Hall president. And what an absolute gift to make my most pivotal memories at SPU. And then I went on to Azusa Pacific for my master's degree directly after. That's where I was able to meet President Porterfield. She took me under her wing in the Office of Enrollment. I learned so many things from her there, mainly the fact that she has a competitive nature you're going to hear a little bit about. And when you have a president that has a competitive nature, but also in that role, she had me at hello with that because you're on the winning team when you partner with President Porterfield. And so for me, she has the utmost character. Working with her as a young mom, seeing how she was with her kids, and young marriage, and then myself, I followed in those footsteps. And her love of people, like that, truly, the way that she not only loved our staff, she loved the community, wanted the students to have the utmost highest college experience. I have no doubt she's going to do that here at SPU. So when I found out she was going to be the 12th president here as Seattle Pacific, we met for coffee, and I could just hear her passion, her vision for what's to come. And you guys are going to hear about that in just a moment. And it really sparked within me the love to give back as an alumni, to figure out how can we all rally behind President Porterfield and the vision that she has. She's been helping Christian colleges for the last 36 years become better. There is no better person that I can think of to take SPU to the next level than Deana Porterfield. Her experience, her community, her family, you'll meet her husband, both just incredible couple and family they've created. So President Porterfield, it's my honor and privilege to introduce you tonight to this conversation.
Thank you. I am so honored that Jen would come on and start to partner with us. She is just a huge influential person in her own life and in her own businesses. And we should be proud because she's a wonderful alumna representing us. But I love that she's giving her gifts and talents back here. So thank you, Jen, for being here and for that introduction. And thank you, Doug, for kicking us off tonight. So when you tell a president they have a number of minutes and it's like, oh, you can go 15 to 25. That's trouble. But I'm going to do my best to stay within that because we want to get to questions and answers. And I know that there are lots of things that people want to know. I am coming up on my 1-year anniversary. My official start date was July 1, and my first day in the office was July 17th. So we are right around the corner. And there is so much that I have learned about SPU, so many things that have been just reaffirmed about my perception of the wonderful things that SPU has to offer. And I want to share some of that with you, as well as sharing a little bit about my journey. But I want to just comment because we were looking at the list of people signed up for tonight, and then I was watching people come in. And so tonight we have current and prospective students, current and prospective parents. We have alumni, faculty and staff, friends, and partners of SPU. And I saw former board members as well as current board members on this call. So it is just a wonderful group. And my hope is that as we get to the Q&A, you'll just feel free to ask me whatever you want to ask me. That's what we did in the last call. And I actually think it actually is a wonderful opportunity for us to connect. And I'm so thankful for Zoom and what that means. As we get started, though, I want to introduce you to my husband, Doug. You'll hear me reference him. He is here. He's going to come around and just put his face right here into the Zoom so you can meet him. This is Doug.
I'm going to squat just a little bit here
Yes.
so you can see me.
Yep.
Hello.
So this is Doug. We are here together. And so I just wanted you to have kind of meet him for a second. He's going to leave, but and we'll keep going. But I wanted you to have the opportunity to meet him on Zoom as well. Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Okay. So I want to tell you a little bit about my journey here. And then I want to talk to you about where we're headed as a university. So I've been sharing throughout the year as I have had the opportunity to speak in different venues, the two questions that I get asked. And they go like this, and I'm still getting them. Did you know what was happening at SPU? And if you did, why did you come? And so I want to tell you, yes, I knew it was happening at SPU. I was, before coming here, I was the president of Roberts Wesleyan University and Northeastern Seminary in Western New York, in Rochester, New York. And Roberts and Northeastern are Free Methodist institutions as well, and part of the system that we are in at Seattle Pacific. And so we knew what was happening. We were watching, praying, and trying to get a sense of what was going on out here. So yes, I knew. Now, do you know everything? Probably not. There's always surprises, but the big things, we made national news. So when you make national news, you tend to know what's going on a little bit more. So those things were not a surprise for me. But why did we come? We came because we were called. And that sounds like such a simple answer, but it's not simple. It means how you listen to God's voice and then how you are confirmed. And so I've learned since coming, it's not just about calling, it's about confirmation. And you need both of those. And really felt that God called us. And where I was at Roberts, I had just completed a strategic plan, and it was April of 22. And I was wondering, okay, do we have the next strategy here at Roberts? And God said yes. And so we launched Vision 2030 in April of 22. And it was July 2022 that this search started. And honestly, I was not interested. I really felt like the board was excited about where we were headed. And I just had this sense that we were supposed to be at Roberts Wesleyan. And so as a matter of fact, I even said to the cabinet, because again, search firms call a lot of people. I said to the cabinet, boy, whoever goes to Seattle Pacific, they're going to have to feel really called. Ha ha ha. Well, I did. So who knows, right? You make sure careful what you say there. But we started moving through, and as we moved into the fall, I was getting calls along the way, and it was October 26th. And I remember, because I wrote it down, that it became a moment where I really thought, and I talked to Doug, and we said, we probably should pray about this and think about what God might have for us. And we decided to move through the process, and God just made it so clear that this is where we were supposed to be. And I've used the phrase an undeniable peace about coming here. Now, that doesn't mean there's not hard things, and it doesn't mean that it hasn't been challenging, but we have never questioned the call to be here in this season of SPU's journey and in our journey. So what does that all mean? Let me tell you a little bit about myself, and then we'll talk about where we're headed. So I was born in Northern California. I grew up in Watsonville. Some of you might know where Watsonville is. It's somewhere between, kind of inland between Santa Cruz and Monterey. I didn't think it was a beautiful area when I grew up there. Now I'm like, I'd love to live near Monterey. But grew up there, and I was a first-generation college student. My father did not graduate from high school. And so when I entered into junior high and high school at a very nice private Christian school, they had two tracks. There was a college prep track and a non-college prep track. And that's what they called it. And I was placed in the non-college prep track, which also just reinforced this idea that I was not going to go beyond high school. As a matter of fact, if I received a high school graduation degree, it would be pretty significant in my family. So moving along, my parents divorce, my dad remarries, and he remarries an executive assistant to the Dean of Humanities at Texas Tech University. She herself did not have a college degree, but she knew the value of a college degree. And so she ended up saying, Deana's going to go to college. And I'm thinking to myself, what do you mean I'm going to college? I had grades that were okay, just enough to keep me in everything else, right? Except for college. I was involved in music and athletics and yearbook and anything you could get involved in extracurricular, I did it. But again, I passed my classes, but it was never a focus for us in our family. So she gets this idea and she said, we're going to go back to Texas Tech at homecoming weekend, and I want to show you what college is like. And can you imagine someone from Watsonville, California, a small little town, has no idea what college is? And she takes me to Texas Tech University. Now, Texas Tech is where Patrick Mahomes graduated. Go Red Raiders, right? And 40,000 students. I don't know what the number is. That was the number at the time. 40,000 students. We go to the homecoming football game. The Red Raider runs around the field. We go to parades. I don't know how many parades there are, but it felt like there were 10. And I'm a pretty extroverted person. And I remember thinking, if this is college, sign me up. I want to go. And I came back and I thought, I can do this. And focused on really the last semester of my high school experience, and found out that I actually was pretty good at school and classes and could get on honor roll. So I thought, okay, here we go. Well, I ended up applying to a number of other places, and through a series of events, I ended up at Azusa Pacific University. And I'm just going to tell you that as a first generation college student, the things I didn't know that I had to learn, I came from a very complicated family. And so part of my college experience was learning about who I am, who God created me to be, and what that looks like. As a matter of fact, that complicated part of my life really was anchored in the church. I grew up in a Christian home, went to church regularly, and it was in junior high and high school when my parents were divorcing and life was complicated that the youth minister of our church, who also ran the music ministry, asked me if I would start playing the piano in worship service. And I've described it this way. That decision and that request for me to play the piano in worship in junior high, I'd never done it before in my life. If I think about my time through high school, it really is what saved me from a very complicated journey that I could have been on, that others in my family went on. And so I end up at Azusa. It transforms my life. I figure out who I am. I think I'm going to be a high school music teacher and a part-time music minister. And I graduate. I'm all set to do that. And just before I graduate, I meet Doug. And I end up interviewing to be an admissions counselor, kind of on a whim, and I say yes. And I end up working at my alma mater for 26 years. And in those 26 years, I spent 20 years in enrollment management, competing against SPU. So I definitely had this perception of all the wonderful things that SPU had to offer because I was always trying to debate them as I was recruiting students. But I did 20 years of that, married Doug. We had two daughters, one that's in her late 20s, one in her early 30s now, married. They're both married. And we have 5 grandchildren. One lives in Northern California. One currently lives in Rochester, New York. So our grandchildren are spread around, which we got to fix. And so I end up at Azusa Pacific becoming the chief of staff and a senior vice president for people and organizational development, and complete my master's degree later in my career, and then end up moving into my doctoral degree after I had served as a vice president for a number of years. And in that series, I end up moving to the fully online university as the executive vice president and helping to return that around and to grow enrollment and to stabilize the institution. And when I complete the degree, I receive a call asking if I would consider the presidency and applying for the presidency at Roberts Wesleyan and Northeastern Seminary. And through a series of amazing events, God makes it very clear, and we move across the country. This California girl who's barely supposed to have a bachelor's degree now has a master's, a doctoral degree, and is going to be the president of a university. It's just really quite unbelievable. I still am in awe of it when I think about it. And then spent 9 years there. And then God called us here to SPU. And let me just say it's been a wonderful year. It has not been without its complications, and it has not been without its challenges. People know where we've been. It's been in the front of the Seattle Times and in Inside Higher Ed and all these publications. But what people don't tell you are all the other things that are happening also. And I want to share a little bit about that. So some people talk about, well, where are we headed and what does the enrollment look like? And, there's some misinformation out there. And so I want to correct it today. So we have been challenged in our enrollment, like many colleges across the country, and on a decline actually since 2013. And not, paying attention, and there were wonderful action taken by the administration to try to offset that, but like many schools, on a decline in that way. And COVID really accelerated that. And then for us, when other schools after COVID started to begin to come out of that and making changes, we had 2 more years of really significant crisis related to our institutional identity. And so we have been graduating very large classes and bringing in smaller classes, which makes for a very complicated financial situation. And so where we ended up and where we're ending up as we look going forward into the year fall 25 is about 1,400 undergrads and 400 grads. And the key to that is stabilizing once the large graduating classes are done and stabilizing our incoming class. And what I'm excited to tell you is that I think we have done that this year. Right now, we are projecting 400 freshmen and 100 transfers. That's 500 new students that will enroll this fall at Seattle Pacific University. And that is very exciting. That is a change in the trend. I'm also excited because our retention was impacted, meaning students that could stay, that chose to stay. And we're up just under 2% in our retention of students right now also. So these are great, very great, exciting things that we have. I also want you to know that there's a perception out there that donors aren't giving. And right now we are just shy of breaking our record that was hit in 2019. As a matter of fact, Doug Taylor let me know, I think it's just over $100,000. He'll have to correct this when we get back on, because I said if every person gave a little something on this call, we could actually exceed the 2019 goal. But that is the story that I want you to know, that things are changing, that students are choosing us, that we have donors that are partnering with us, and people that believe in the future of Seattle Pacific University. So I want to also share with you a little bit about our theme, and then I want to talk about SPU 135, which is on the way to SPU 140, and I'll tell you what that means. But this year, our theme is God is doing a new thing. And it's anchored in Isaiah 43, verses 15 through 19. And those verses in Isaiah say this. It's talking to the children of Israel, and it's saying, hey, I know, we've done some great things, but forget the things of the past. I'm about to do something new. Do you not perceive it? I'm going to make a way for you to go through the wilderness, and I'm going to bring water through the dry and desolate places. That theme of God is doing a new thing, and those verses are how we started this year, in a place of discouragement because of where we have been, and really trying to refocus and look to God to say, no, we believe you can do a new thing here at Seattle Pacific. And our giveaway has been a wood coin. And some of you have seen this before. On this wood coin, it has our logo, and it says God is doing a new thing, and it says Seattle Pacific University 2324. So why is it a piece of wood? Because as you look at some variations of trees and species, you will find that there are some trees that after a devastation goes through, rebirth and resprout, not from new seeds, but from the original foundation of that tree. This is a symbol that God is doing a new thing out of who we have been for 133 years. And this has been our reminder, and to tell us and to remind us to look for the things that God is doing. And God has been doing some amazing things. He has done some really big things, unexpected, bringing unexpected gifts to help support spiritual formation on campus or programs. But he's also brought people onto this campus that we've needed to solidify our leadership team. So Doug Taylor as the Vice President for University Advancement, Ken Cornell, the Vice President for Enrollment Management and Marketing, Kristen Brown, our new Chief of Staff. We have a new Dr. Kathy Lustig, who is our new Vice President for Academic Affairs. She just started on Monday, and tomorrow I'm doing an interview for a Vice President for Business and Finance, and that God has brought new people into this community and into our leadership team to make a difference. He's also brought new trustees onto the board as we have continued to move forward. There are exciting things happening at Seattle Pacific, and I just want you to know that we are not sitting still and we are moving forward. So what is SPU 135? So we're in our 133rd year this year. And as we began to look at how we might reposition the university for the future, we began to look at what was happening within enrollment and the budget and how we begin to reposition ourselves so that we can invest in the future. And SPU 135 is really 2 years from now, how we do that. And so right now, the administration is working within the community and within our leadership team to take a look at what it would mean for the 24-25 budget to balance our operational budget, to bring our numbers back in line with what enrollment will be, which we are projecting at 1,400 undergrad and 400 grad, and reposition the university so that we can move forward. We have been using reserves and other funding to offset the drops in enrollment. And if we reposition for 25-26, we will have some of those funds that we will be able to preserve to invest in the future of Seattle Pacific. If we don't make those changes, we won't have that to invest, and we want to invest in the future. So what are some of the things that are ahead for us, and where are we headed? And I brought my paperwork just so I don't miss anything, because I don't want you to walk away feeling like, well, what about that? So the first is a vibrant Christian community. As you know, the board reaffirmed our covenant relationship with the Free Methodist Church, and that is an important relationship for us. It means that we hold a theological position that aligns with the Free Methodist Church. And that is not a new position. That has been a position of the university for 133 years. And I know that that has been confusing to some, that maybe we made a different decision. No, we just held to the position we have had and the statement of faith that we have had, which you can find on the website, and our lifestyle expectations of what that is. And so we move forward with that. And we also hold to a vibrant Christian community of who we are. So one of the wonderful things about the Free Methodist denomination and our Wesleyan tradition is that we can be in complicated spaces. As a matter of fact, when I was an admissions counselor at Azusa Pacific, one of the things I loved about SPU, and also was a little irritated because I was competing against SPU, but I loved, was the ability to discuss hard issues and to do that in a way where we could hold a held belief in that conversation and not need to compromise that, but not be afraid to go out into societal issues that we're pushing on the world. I mean, if you took any time tonight, which I did when I went home to grab a little dinner, and listen to the debate, this world needs graduates like those that come from Seattle Pacific who know how to have complex conversations with generosity and grace, that students can have a held belief that they don't have to compromise on, but because they are clear, they can step out into the world with generosity and grace and love and care for people, even those that have different opinions. That is not modeled for us. A vibrant Christian community anchored in the covenant relationship with the Free Methodist Church is a relationship and an anchor that is not afraid to engage in this world. And that is really the uniqueness of Seattle Pacific University. The second thing is we're going to launch some new programs, enhance some of the programs we have, and we're going to need to reduce some programs. 1,400 students at the undergraduate level and 400 students at the graduate level. It means we're going to look a little different on our size and our offerings. But we know that a majority of our students are within a set of our academic programs. So we're going to enhance those. We're going to make sure that all of our programs are infused with the liberal arts. It's one of the things that makes us unique. but we may have some differences in what we're offering along the way. We're going to focus on non-traditional programs. This is a market that we have not been a part of, but we know that the corporations next door to us, right in Seattle, that businesses, that adults, there are 40 million of them, 40 million, 40, I think it's billion. I don't know. Somebody help me out. 40 something. I'm trying to remember in my head what I had in my inauguration, what I said, but there are thousands of people that have some degrees completed. They want to complete a degree. They want a certification. They want to continue on their educational journey. And we have the opportunity to take the best of SPU into those partnerships. So we are going to expand that. As we talk about SPU 135, which is 2 years from now, it's on the way to SPU 140. And our goal in 140 is to have 2,000 traditional undergrads and 1,000 adult graduate students in a variety of ways to meet the needs of the community that we're a part of and partner with corporations, which leads me to number 4, which is strategic corporate partnerships. We are in a metropolitan area, and there are companies that have needs, and we can meet those needs educationally, and we can partner in a way that makes a difference. And so we're going to do that, and we're going to identify organizations that we're going to partner with. And then we're going to focus on resource optimization. You know, that is a phrase if you're in business. What that means is we're going to make sure that we are positioning ourselves for the enrollment we will have, that we can set a trajectory after we get stabilized that way. And then we're going to look at community and space utilization for who we are. And then, of course, all leading to financial sustainability. And that financial sustainability to become a balanced budget in 25-26 tied to that enrollment with the programs that we are going to lean into will allow us some resources available to reinvest for the future to get to SPU 140. I am excited about SPU 135. And I'm excited about the possibility of SPU really leaning into who it is that we are, that we have always been, but enhancing the future in new ways. And I really hope in the Q&A you ask me some questions because we want to talk about this. We are in the process of planning the plan as a cabinet, and we have some work streams that we're starting to identify, and we will bring our proposal for SPU 135, including a strategic plan tied to it, to the board in November. And the board will hopefully approve that, and they'll ask questions, I'm sure, along the way, and then we will implement it going forward for the fall of 2025. So I'm going to take a break there, looking at the time at 7:30, and call Jen and Doug back online to see if we can go into a Q&A.
Hey, thanks, Deana. Sure appreciate your words. And I think you folks can see why we're excited about having Dr. Porterfield as our president. She is on top of these issues. And yes, it's 40 million students with some college or credential nationwide since the pandemic. So maybe they all want to come to Seattle. I don't know.
Well, we know that they want to go somewhere.
Well, exactly. And so the questions are starting to pop in now, so feel free to jump in with questions. But maybe I'll ask the first question. Deana, someone just asked, how are we tracking towards this fall for enrollment? And those of you who are in churches or have grandchildren or children or whatever, you can be a part of this response.
That's right. So as I mentioned, we have 400 students right now confirmed that are freshmen, and we're on track for the 100 transfers. Our goal was actually 370 freshmen. So we're actually ahead of that, and we're ahead year over year in the transfer number right now. And we're up just under 2% in retention. That is really exciting. That is a different trend than where we have been in the last couple of years.
That is really exciting, Deana. So Dr. Porterfield, the next question that we had come through, wanted to just ask, what criteria will you employ to make tough decisions this next year so that SPU will come out fiscally sound for the years ahead?
So I've been saying everything's on the table, right? Within the context of our mission and how we're going to make decisions, and we're going to use metrics and all those pieces. But we really are going to make sure that our mission is held, and then we're going to reposition the institution. Our size will be similar to the size we were at in probably 1971. But we're not going to look like we looked in 1971. We're going to look like we need to look in 2025. And so we're going to look at what programs those are, where are our students enrolled, what are the possibilities on the market as we do market research of up and coming programs that students are looking at, what are businesses looking to hire, and we're going to enhance our programs with that. But we are working right now on all the criteria related to the academic programs, which will fuel how we service our students, which fuel how we recruit our students, which fuel how we use our facilities, right? Which fuel how Doug will come to you and tell you what he would like you to invest in. It's all connected within that. And right now we're working on what does that look like within the academic programs, not lessening the quality. As a matter of fact, enhancing the quality of the programs. But if you were to go to our website, you'd see over 100 offerings right now. Those aren't all majors. Those are just, in our time of growth, we added a lot of electives along the way and a lot of different components. And so we've got to be good stewards of our resources in order to move forward and actually be able to focus our students in a way that we can really elevate their education in greater ways.
Thank you.
Well, maybe I'll just read a statement that just came in, just a statement of support. My wife and I have included SPU in our estate plan for many years, and our support has not wavered with that commitment, even through the recent challenges. Also living in Kansas City for the past 30 years. Thank you, President, for mentioning our QB, Patrick Mahoney's.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but say that given my position. So thank you to this family and others of you who are on the screen who have made very generous gifts to SPU. We're really grateful for that.
And you know what, Doug and Jen, I know that there could be people on that have stepped away from us because of the last couple of years. And I've heard from people saying they're rejoining us. I actually had somebody say they actually stopped praying for us. Please, even if you don't feel like you need to step back with us, never stop praying for us. We are one of the few Christian universities located in a metropolitan city in this country. And we need prayer just for that. Let alone the type of work we're trying to do and the way in which we're trying to invest in our students. So I want to encourage you. I hope that after this call or other conversations that you will feel like you can support us again if you've stepped away from that, but never, ever stop praying for Seattle Pacific.
Never. The next one, which fits in line with what you just said, was from Don Hines. What is the spiritual environment on campus? And what do you plan to do to focus spiritual development for students?
Yes. So, one of the things coming in is just helping us find clarity in what it means around our institutional identity. And one of those things right early on was just kind of going through how we define our theological connection with the church and what is that and what does that mean for us. As a matter of fact, next week, we will add to the president's cabinet a special advisor to the president for mission integration. We have had a task force this year looking on how we integrate and communicate our mission identity of the institution. And they've been taking a look across campus. How do we do that related to students? How do we do that related to faculty and staff and our constituent group across the board? But we know that there is a perception, right? That we have maybe gone a different direction from our faith. I want to say that every faculty and staff has a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. So everyone affirms the statement of faith if you work here. And then they abide by the lifestyle expectation. Now, just like the churches out in the world right now, churches are dividing over some complicated issues, societal issues. And so we have been working through what that means for us. But the institution holds true to that. But we are also an open enrollment. And so we know that our students come from all different backgrounds. And so what we are trying to do is be clear on what it means to be a Christian university in the city of Seattle, anchored in our faith, in covenant relationship with the Free Methodist Church, and how we play that out. We did not get here overnight. And so we are on our way back to understanding that. But I think there's a misperception because there's been some different articulation than what aligns with our institution, that our faculty and staff maybe aren't part of the faith and understand who Jesus Christ is in a personal relationship. That's actually not true. You just look around this world and see that churches are changing on this issue. We have not changed. And so we are on our way of trying to move forward to make sure it's clear to everybody who it is that we are as an institution. But it takes time, as you know, and I know that some of you are watching and measuring that. And I want to encourage you to keep watching. We won't do it perfectly, but we are moving forward, and clarity is coming through our personal understanding of what it means to be in covenant relationship with the Free Methodist Church.
Great. Thank you. Maybe you've talked some about this, but maybe you can say a little bit more. What kind of institution do you envision SPU being in the next 5 to 10 years?
Right. So I envision a vibrant Christian university that offers the best academic programs that are found within the campus, that allow faculty and students to do research and deep dives into the discipline that a student chooses, and ultimately to go out with that gifting, with that knowledge, to serve the world. You know, our founding, all the way back to the founder of the Free Methodist Church, by the way, was that everyone would know the love, joy, and peace of Jesus Christ, and we would elevate the poor. That is service, right? And service looks different in different communities and different organizations, and what that is, and different calls that we each have. But ultimately, we are here to empower our students to serve the world, and to serve that with a voice for Christ. That is the goal. And so we do that by graduating. I'm just going to tell you our mission statement. Graduates who graduate with competence and character, who model grace-filled wisdom, right, to the world and to this society. That is who we graduate, and that is where we're headed. So people have talked about, well, this whole new vision. The new vision is a refocusing of who we are. The foundation is the same. We don't want to change the fact that we know how to debate difficult issues, that we can stay anchored in our faith and be unafraid to step out into the world and hold that faith and yet value others. That is the unique space of Seattle Pacific University. It always has been. And it is a unique space of our Free Methodist Wesleyan tradition. And it's complicated. It's complicated. Just look at what happened tonight on the debate. It's complicated because the world wants to push us to sides and have us go one extreme or the other. The beauty of our tradition and our heritage is that we live in the courageous space that says we can love and value others and still have a held belief in Jesus Christ. And we are going to do that. Our job is to help students find that identity in Jesus Christ so that they can hold true to who they are whenever they step out from this campus. Sorry, I'm starting to preach. Sorry.
I got like microphone drop right there.
Okay, Deana, I was going to ask another question, follow up with that. You touched on something that made me want to ask a little bit more. You just had your first trip to Blakely Island, and some of the people who are older alums don't know much about Blakely Island, but we have 960 something acres on Blakely Island, just south of Orcas Island. Tell us a little bit about what that did for you.
Yeah. Now I'm going to do my best, and someone's going to have to correct all my facts. But it was my first visit to Blakely Island, where we have a field station where we take students where they can live and do research and explore in an academic program with faculty in community. And so let me tell you about it. You can't get there by car. As a matter of fact, you can't even get there by a ferry. You have to rent a special boat to get there, or take a plane, which I didn't do. I took the boat because that whole little water plane thing, I don't know about that. I'm still working on that. And then you take a van, which takes you to the middle of the island, and you come upon the most beautiful location of God's creation. I mean, Washington is beautiful in general, but this location that is remote and removed, and it is where students can live and experience with faculty deep research and deep learning in their area of study, or even explore something that they aren't even studying to get an idea of it. And we are one of the few colleges that has this. I mean, colleges or universities that have this. So we are so fortunate to have this beautiful location. It is not always open because you can't get out there all the time. We just took our board of trustees and our administration there. I had never been there before. Many of our board of trustees had not been there. And it is one of the unique spaces of Seattle Pacific. And I'll tell you, there are some amazing research and opportunities for our students. So our College of Arts and Sciences had a conference at the end of the semester, at the end of the year. And there were 100, I think it was 123 students had published research to put on display, or a poster session, or both at that conference that we held. Those were our students, and they did research with their faculty, many times gaining first name in the research themselves, and had really amazing research things that I think they will go out and put into business opportunities and make a difference within their discipline going forward. Those are the unique spaces of SPU. I have been at 3 institutions, and there are wonderful institutions that I have served at. There is something different about the education at Seattle Pacific. And I truly believe it comes from the relationship with the faculty and the student, and the ability for faculty not just to do their own research, but to elevate students in their education to take them to a new place. It is what we call with students, and it is so deep and deeper than what anyone else, I believe, can offer in this season. And it is a unique space of what we are doing at SPU. And I think we've always done it. So we've been able to have difficult conversations that others aren't willing to have. And we engage and elevate our students in research and in learning with our faculty. And we do that in a Christian community. Those 3 things are pretty powerful. And, I just want to add, and we do that in a metropolitan city. Again, I just think I can't speak to why well, we can all have assumptions about why the enrollment went down, but I'll tell you what, we are getting clear on our message, and it is making it, that is why enrollment is turning, because we are saying, this is who we are. This is what it means to be an SPU student. And this is what it means to come to the city of Seattle and be at a Christian university. And I'll just say, the students that are choosing us because of where we are headed, not where we have been.
Amen. Dr. Porterfield, one question that came in was, how do we bring back, and you just really said, you said this, but how do we bring back that spirit of, pride in the university? How do we make sure as a whole that the campus feels that sense of pride as you're wearing the Falcon colors right there?
Yeah. I just want alumni to know that the experience you had with your faculty, it is still here. That it's not gone away, right? And yes, we are making a decision to stay in covenant relationship with the church around some societal issues that people are dividing on. But if you really think about your education at SPU, I hope, and I think it did teach you how to be in difficult conversations. And so I think you can be proud wherever the institution stands, whether you agree with it or not, and where the board has settled on our covenant relationship with the church, because those things are still happening. I think you want a neighbor or an employee that can have a held belief, but value everyone that they come in contact with. That's what we're trying to teach. It honestly, in today's world, it is the only hope I have for what can be of the future, that we can teach and model what it means to have deep understanding of generosity, humility, and graciousness with others, even when we disagree. That is, I believe, at the foundation of an SPU degree and what we have taught people over the years, whatever they end up choosing to believe or not as they leave. But it is what we have taught them. And we're going to do it from a Christian perspective and make sure you know that there is a spiritual component to all of your development. Again, we want students to find their identity in Jesus Christ. We want them to strengthen their identity in Jesus Christ if they come here. But we also recognize that we're an open enrollment. And if they leave and they choose not to have a relationship with Jesus Christ, they definitely know who to call when life gets hard because of what we placed in the understanding of our education and the foundation that has been placed within them.
Okay, I have another question. We could let me say it this way.
Oh,
SPU's enrollment is much smaller now.
yeah.
Is there a possibility of restoring a required community chapel?
So we had this task force that did some work, and the number one recommendation was to bring back required chapel. So we are going to start working on what that might be. We might start that with incoming class. There's different structures. We haven't had chapel since the late 1990s, I think is when it went away, from what I understand. But it was the number one recommendation from the faculty and staff and student group that got together and looked at how we strengthen and articulate our mission going forward.
So isn't that great? That's the faculty, staff, and students think this is a priority. This isn't
I'll be
just
honest, it was one student that was representing the student body. So, so let's be truthful, but it was faculty and staff.
and we have had chapel. We just haven't had the chapel requirement.
Correct. We have had chapel and the attendance is low. It's one of the things that I dearly miss. Chapel not only anchors the community in a common understanding of our faith and challenges us in our faith, but it also is a place that brings community together. It's the one time you can really see everybody. And as president, it's the one time I can speak with everybody. And it's hard not to have it. I mean, I'll be honest, but I was really excited to see it come up through this group and that we can start working on that. But we're going to get creative. You don't have it just the requirement. You've got to put resources into it, and you've got to make it intentional about what you want it to be.
And now a question that's near and dear to your heart. What's the future of instrumental music at SPU?
Oh, yeah. Instrumental or all?
Instrumental is this question, but you can answer it
Okay.
more boldly, more broadly.
Yeah. So, I can't imagine not having music that elevates this community. Now, how that looks and what that looks like, I know some people want to know, are you going to have that major or not that major? We are in the process of evaluating everything. And I think you would understand, given where the enrollment is and what it is to reposition the institution, everything has to be on the table with a clear understanding of what we want to make sure we hold on to. But music elevates the community. Music brings the community together. And I can't imagine not having opportunity for our students to participate in that. I have been to the choir concerts. I've been to the orchestra concerts. I have been to the theater productions. I went to the art display, took Doug and a few of us walked down to see one of the senior art shows. All of those components of the arts, the visual and performing arts, are really important components of who we are. So how we set that up and what that looks like, more to come on that, but it would be hard not to elevate this community through those types of opportunities.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you. I'm just going to ask Jen to ask one more question and share a few comments. And then I'll ask one more question and I'll close this in prayer after that. So Jen, take it away.
What I would love to just know, as I'm sure others would, what's God doing in your life through this process?
Boy, I've learned a lot this year. And I've learned how to hold my hands open a little bit looser and be a little more dependent, I will say, on God in some of the decisions and some of the work that we have to do. It's not easy. Let's be honest. There's some hard things we're working through as an institution. So I thought I would share with you one story. And I don't know, this is meant to be encouraging. If you're a leader, you'll understand this. If you're not even a leader in life, you know how you're working through something and you're like, is what I'm doing making a difference? Are we making a difference here in trying to really bring clarity back to the institution and really shine the light in a more brilliant way of who Christ is on this campus and what it is that we have to offer? And I was asking that question about a month and a half ago, wondering like, okay, do I just need to do something different? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you ask that question, you're like, okay, is this working? I don't know if it is. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to do something totally different. And I get a call from a colleague, another president across the country, someone that I know. I don't know extremely well, but he said, Deana, I need to talk to you. And he said, I just feel like I need to share something with you. And it's been on my heart. And he was hemming and hawing and doing this whole thing like, I don't know. And I need to tell you this. I'm like, look, I grew up Pentecostal. I can handle it. So I can handle it if you tell me if God told you to share something with me. And I can filter that. So he said, I want to share with you Mark 4, verses 26 through 29. And that story is a story of the person that's planting a field. And he starts to read the verse and he said, it says, he waters a day and night. And then he said, but this is what I feel like God's really trying to tell me to tell you. And it is, and he does not know how it grows. And he said, Deana, I don't know what that means for you, but I just feel like I'm supposed to tell you that you're not going to know how God's moving and you're not going to know all of it. You're not going to see it all. And then he said, and I have one more thing to tell you. I said, okay. And he hemmed and hawed some more. And he said, you'd be a fool to take a plow to a newly planted field. And I thought that is a word I receive because in my own patience or lack of patience as a leader, when I want things to go really fast, it's hard to trust that God is really nurturing the seeds and the work we're doing and that the roots are growing and he can see it even if I can't because the sower does not know how it grows. And I'd be a fool to take a plow to it too early. Mm. And so that's a message that preaches, by the way. I'll just start with that. But two, it's something that's really stayed with me. There are times as a leader I need to make fast decisions, absolutely. But there are also times where I need to let God do the work. That is what I'm learning since I have been here. Because there are things that come my way all the time. No one's happy. The space we hold in this beautiful location of Seattle as a Christian university that's anchored in covenant relationship with the Free Methodist Church and the Wesleyan tradition, it's a space that people do not understand because they don't understand how you can be clearly anchored in your faith and fully engaged in a world and love others. That is the space we are holding. And it is not compromised, but it looks messy. So on one side, we're too Christian for some, and on another, we're not Christian enough, but we are faithful, moving forward as a Christian university in the city of Seattle.
Sorry, as I get choked up. When I met with you and that was the vision that you shared, I couldn't help but want to rally back around Seattle Pacific University as an alumni and be so incredibly proud of the fact that not only do you have the vision, but you can take on the hard conversations. And so I have no doubt that those of you guys that are on tonight or those that get the replay, that you understand that something touched your heart. Was it her vision? Is it where the collective is rallying together? Whatever that was tonight, if you're somebody who can get in the trenches and start praying, we want you to pray and be revived in your prayer life for SPU, for the new students that are coming, for the faculty, for the staff, for our president, for, Dr. Porterfield. If you're somebody who says, I don't have time to do a lot, but I have a checkbook, get in the trenches and give. When Doug rolled out the numbers and he said, this is where we're at, where we could be. Well, I'm competitive. So I'm like, let's get past 2019 and rally behind it. If somebody had the ability to donate and generously, like, who you are. If that's somebody tonight, I also know that there's somebody on here, the PTA mom at some of the most influential schools in our area around Seattle area that needs to hear Dr. Porterfield's message. Maybe it will refresh and ignite a new, hope for what's to come on the Hill in Seattle. And so share with them her message, get this out so that they can actually hear from our president and just to know what really is going on and that there is a new thing happening. So it is my privilege and honor to be here tonight. And thank you so much for who you are, what you stand for, the standards that you hold. The next Zoom meeting will be in August if we have another one, which I'm sure this momentum is building. We have a Facebook community that will be sent out along with the recording that you can get involved in. And those of you guys who are alumni who had the best moments of SPU, we want you to give those to us, your best memories, so we can remember the best parts of this community and carry it forward. So thanks for having us tonight.
Thank you.
I'm going to turn it back over to Doug for one last question.
Okay.
Okay. Deana, how can we pray for you and SPU specifically?
Yeah. So I would just ask for prayer. We are in the hiring process for our last vice president, and we're moving into a few special advisors as we move forward. I would ask for prayer for that. That's really critical right now. I would ask for prayer for SPU 135. There are some really hard decisions, but there's so much opportunity in it as well as we reposition this institution. But we bring a presentation of the decisions to the board in November. We announced this in May, and we bring it to the board in November. And then we implement it for fall 25. So I'd ask you to pray for that. I would ask you to call us if you hear something and not assume that what you hear is true. There's a lot of lingering stories about Seattle Pacific, and there are lots of things we're still being surprised about myself. I mean, there's things regularly that we're like, oh, okay, well, we need to look at that. Give us a call, ask the question. Don't assume that one piece of information has taken us completely off track into a different place. We'll be transparent. We'll answer the questions. Call Doug, call me, call any of the cabinet. We'll talk about what's going on. And there's going to be times you might be frustrated. That's okay. We're making our way. And we are here to make sure that SPU is not just a Christian university that sits in Seattle, but it's a vibrant Christian university that shines from a light on the hill. And then this isn't a fundraising event in any way, but Doug, how short are we from the 2019 goal?
We're $194,000 and $194,600. $195,000 over the top.
So this is what I said to the last call, because somebody asked a question about it, but to be at the highest we have been since 2019. If you feel compelled to be a part of that, I encourage you to make a gift, because how powerful would it be? There are misperceptions and stories out there that people aren't giving, not true, that students are not choosing, not true, that people are not coming to work here, not true. All of those things are happening, and you can be a part of it. But mostly pray for us. Pray for the work we're doing, and continue to put that next to your bed on a note that just says, pray SPU, pray for SPU. That's really important for us.
Jesus Christ is alive and well at Seattle Pacific University, and he's calling all people to himself.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
May I pray? Jesus, we're just grateful to be your people. We're so grateful that you continue to be with us and call us to a deeper and richer relationship with you. Lord, we are grateful that you are at work on this campus to do your will and your way, and you will not be thwarted. And we're just grateful, and we lift up your name on high. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you for coming.
Great to be with you all.
Yes. Thank you.
Take care.